So, in the previous video we saw right after the Colonel's death, all the humans surrendered to the Pandora inhabitants. The Pandora inhabitants and Jake together sent all the humans back to Earth. However, some humans still stayed there who from the beginning supported the Pandora inhabitants. Actually, with them there was a kid who couldn't do space travel. That's why they left him there. His name was given as Spider, and we learn he is that Colonel's own son. Meanwhile, Jake is made the leader of this whole group. And Jake has 3 kids too. Besides, Dr. Grace has a kid too. That kid's name they give as Kiri. And Jake adopts her too. And all of them together very beautifully, happily live their lives. We see that Spider also easily blended in with them. And he considered all of them as his family. However, in Jake's wife Neytiri's mind this thing always ran that Spider is the son of her enemy, the Colonel. That's why she couldn't tolerate him at all. After that, Jake teaches his eldest son how to hunt. And when he was teaching him these things he became very emotional too. Because he was training his own kid. This thing was very emotional for him. In this way, all of them very happily started leading their lives. But one day suddenly Jake and Neytiri see some spaceships in the sky. And after seeing these, both of them get extremely scared. And when these ships come very close to them, then before landing on the ground, they bomb and burn all their homes, the jungle, everything. Here they kill all the animals. And after seeing so much fire they get very panicked. Actually, we see this time the humans had come with a lot more machinery with which, in any way they wanted to destroy them. Besides, after the Colonel's death, the people on Earth made an avatar of the Colonel too. In that avatar all of the Colonel's memories were inserted. But up to now, this avatar doesn't know this thing about how his death happened. Actually, before the Colonel's death the Colonel himself recorded all his memories in a video. And through that recording his avatar was trained. However, since his own death news he couldn't give himself. That's why up to now the avatar doesn't know this matter. Meanwhile, Jake with his people's help attacks the humans' stored weapons. And here he destroys everything and loots the weapons from there. So that with them they can face the humans. Meanwhile, we see the Colonel with his people completes all the planning to attack Pandora. And with extreme anger he comes straight to Pandora in a spaceship. Here in their army camp he comes and meets with their general. And the general informs him saying that in the past 1 year we have done so much work, which hasn't happened in the past 30 years. Meaning we have increased the production numbers a lot. And now we have so many weapons, through which very easily we can destroy Pandora. However, before making Pandora habitable for humans, definitely the Gnostics here we have to treat them. Because they have started attacking a lot, due to which our lives and weapons both we have to lose many times. So for this, if we can't stop them, then this matter could become very difficult for us. That's why we see here the general sends the Colonel and some of his people into that jungle to conduct an operation. After that, the Colonel and his people come to that jungle. The jungle where his death had happened. And on the other side we see Jake and Neytiri's kids also came here to play. Along with Spider someone had brought. But when they see the Colonel from afar, then they understand this thing, that they are actually not their people. They might be some people from Earth. That's why all these matters hiding they were watching from afar. Meanwhile, when the Colonel finds that robot, meaning his own dead body he finds, then while checking in it he finds his own name. After seeing this he confirms that this is that dead body. And after that he looks well at those arrows stuck in his chest. After seeing which his head gets even hotter. On the other side, Jake's eldest son through his ear-attached audio device informs Jake about all these matters. And after hearing these, Jake and Neytiri become completely shocked. That's why Jake tells his kids without making any noise to quietly leave from there. But by the time they quietly escape from there, before that, the Colonel and his people come and catch all of them. And as soon as he sees them, the Colonel clearly understands this thing that they are not completely Gnostics. Because Gnostics have only 4 fingers, but all of them had 5 fingers each. And as soon as he sees Jake's eldest son, he recognizes him that this is Jake's son. But on the other side, when Spider sees the Colonel, then some different feelings come into him. After that, when the Colonel interrogates Jake's eldest son about his father trying to know, then he wasn't giving any answer. That's why when he was going to hit him, then Spider starts shouting at him. And when the Colonel asks him his name, then he says his name is Spider. And then the Colonel learns this thing that he is actually his own son. That's why he asks him that as far as I know, the Gnostics sent all humans back to Earth. Then why weren't you sent? Then he says I was a kid then, and such small kids can't do space travel. That's why I wasn't sent. After that, the Colonel informs his general of his location. And the general says I'm coming there within 10 minutes. And after that, the Colonel starts watching his last moments videos. meaning those videos which were recorded in his suit, meaning the videos right before death. And in this video he finally sees how his death happened. But after that, by the time his general arrives here. Before that, Jake and Neytiri come here. That's why a terrible fight starts between them. And in this fight, somehow Jake and Neytiri save their kids. But due to a blast, Spider becomes unconscious there. That's why the colonel carries him on his shoulder straight to his station. Although Jake's daughter was crying a lot for Spider, and repeatedly telling him to bring him back. But Jake gives her no kind of consolation, and promises to bring him back. After that, the general does various kinds of torture on Spider, trying to get all the information from him. But in no way was Spider giving them any such information. But after seeing so much torture, the colonel couldn't tolerate the matters at all. Because the colonel didn't want so much torture done on him. That's why at one point he stops the tortures. And after that he goes and tells the general that this boy knows me. I can get all the words out from him in another way. But after hearing this, the general gets angry and tells him that this is not your son. Try to keep this thing in mind. Meanwhile, Jake tells Neytiri that we have to leave from here in any way. Because they have captured Spider. And at any cost they will get all the matters out from him. Although Neytiri didn't want to leave from here. But Jake explains to her that they have come only for you and me. If we don't leave from here, then they will destroy our whole colony. And after hearing all these matters, Neytiri also understands the things. That's why finally she agrees to leave from here. Meanwhile, the colonel comes to talk with Spider. As soon as he comes, he gives him a bracelet. But after getting it, Spider throws it away. Actually, Spider hated his father. Because he knew very well that his father tried to kill the people. And tried to destroy this whole place. But the colonel tells him that I want only that you come with me. Because if you do that, no one will be able to torture you either. And I won't put any such pressure on you either. After that, the next day in the morning, Jake resigns from his position, and from there comes far away with his family. And after a long journey, he finally arrives at an island called Metkiina Reef. Actually, there's a big difference between the people here and Jake's group. Because the people here don't hunt in the sky, they go underwater to hunt. Plus, their skin color is completely different. And when they spot Jake's group, the people here start making a lot of fun of Jake and his family, because their tails are much weaker compared to theirs. Even their arms are really skinny. Anyway, a bit later, the clan's leader arrives with his wife and asks Jake why he's come here. Then Jake says that he wants to stay with them, that's why he's come here. But he says that you are forest people, and we are sea people. We two can't survive together in any way. The way you hunt won't apply underwater at all. But Jake says that he'll learn anyway. But we see his wife, after looking at Neytiri's tail, says that they won't be able to swim as fast underwater like us. Plus, looking at the kids' hands, she says that they aren't real kids. They have demon blood in them. After hearing this, everyone is completely shocked. But then Jake again shows his own hand, and tells them that my hand is the same. And Iwa has made me a Nausix. From now on, I'm just like you. And then Neytiri tells them that you know very well that my husband fought the humans alone and saved our entire clan. But then the leader's wife says again that yes, that's why you fled here. All these things lead to a heated exchange of words between them. But then the leader calms everyone down. After that, the leader tells him that I don't want people following you to come all the way to me and attack us and destroy us. Meaning, I don't want to fight your battle here. But Jake says that no, I'm not here to fight, but to save my family. For this, the leader finally gives them permission to stay here. And he tells all his people that they should see them as their brothers and sisters. And like a little kid, try to teach them all about our ways. Try to teach them our culture. Try to teach them how to swim, so that they don't feel weak. After that, he gives his son and daughter the responsibility to show them around the whole place. After that, the leader's kids take Jake's kids underwater. But they see that they can't stay underwater for long. So while swimming, they help them a lot. After that, underwater, they call their special creatures and connect with them, teaching them how to ride. All those things. And the leader teaches all these things to Jake too. We see Jake's kids, after going underwater, start having a lot of fun. They get introduced to a whole new world, and after seeing all this, they get really excited. We see Jake's daughter feeling all these things. Meanwhile, the colonel takes Spider to a high mountain in Pandora, and there he chooses a banshee for himself and tries to make a connection with it. But during the connection, that banshee takes him straight off the mountain and jumps down. So everyone thinks that maybe the colonel has died. That's why they all try to leave. But then again, the colonel comes back with that banshee. Actually, he had made the connection with that banshee. Meanwhile, when the leader's sons are disturbing Jake's daughter, her brother comes and gives them a good beating. And after seeing this, Jake quickly brings them home and starts scolding them. And he sends one to go apologize to them. And when he comes to apologize to them, they forgive him. But they offer him to ride with them in the ocean, meaning to take a ride in the deep ocean. That's why, without understanding their trick, he goes out with them for a ride in the ocean. After that, they arrive at a rocky area called Three Brothers. And once there, the leader's kids tell him to make a special sound. And when he starts making that special sound, they leave him there and run away. Actually, this whole place was like a whale fish, home to a special creature called Tulkun. That creature was a very terrifying one. And as soon as it hears that sound and comes there, it tries to kill him over and over. Meaning, it chases him like crazy to kill him. But he also tries in many ways to save himself. But after staying underwater for a long time, he can't breathe anymore. That's why he tries to come up to take a breath. But by the time he gets up, before that Tulkun fish comes in front of him. And this time, it's fully ready to kill him. But by the time it comes to kill him, before that, a huge big fish comes and finishes off that fish. And because of staying underwater for so long, Jake's son also passes out underwater. But when he regains consciousness a little later, he sees that huge big Tulkun fish has saved his life. Now, since this fish has saved him, that's why between them a really good bonding forms. And when he checks its body carefully, he sees a high-tech weapon stuck in its body. That's why he removes that weapon from its body. And when he goes to one of its fins, he sees that fin has been cut off. That's why he asks it in signs how this happened. But it doesn't give him any answer. After that, the two of them have a lot of fun there. They roam around many places. Meaning, we see the bonding between them has become really good. Meanwhile, Jake's daughter was telling Jake that I can feel Mom's heartbeats now. Am I really going crazy? But as Jake calms her down and tries to explain, right then Jake's older son brings the leader's son holding him. And he confesses all the things that happened this morning. That's why they quickly go out to search for their son. But right then, his son says goodbye to the Tulkun and somehow makes it back home. And he confesses that all the faults are his own. By doing this, he saves the leader's son from getting beaten. So a really good relationship forms between the two of them. So, after that, the next day in the morning with the leader's kids, he shares all the things about what actually happened to him yesterday. He talks about that big fish, and also about its cut fin. And after hearing this, the leader's daughter clearly understands who he was talking about. She tells him that that fish has been exiled from his family. Because he's a killer. He has killed one of their people too. Plus, he has killed one of their Tulkun fish too. But Jake's son doesn't want to believe these things at all. That's why he tells them he's my friend. Saying just that, he gets angry and leaves from there. So, after that, the next day, the leader's kids take Jake's kids on a trip. First, they take them to their temple. After that, they take them to see the spirit tree, which is underwater. Actually, after seeing it, Jake's daughter gets really curious. That's why, when she creates a connection with it, she can see her mother. And she starts asking her mother, why am I different from everyone? Who is my dad? And while she's trying to find answers to all these things, she loses consciousness. And starts shaking like an epileptic. As soon as they see all this, they quickly bring her up. And try to treat her. Jake calls some of his friends, and tries to treat her. But they can't do anything at all. But then the leader's wife comes and treats her, finally saving her life. But in all this, a call goes to the colonel. The colonel finds out that a ship has been located on radar. The ship that Jake's friends used to go treat her. That's why, finally, the colonel gets a location. With all his people, through a killer ship, he comes to destroy that island. After that, the next morning, all the Tulkun fish complete their cycle and finally come in front of them. And after seeing all these things, all the people here become really happy. We learn that they considered all the Tulkun fish like their own brothers and sisters. And here, the leader's wife's Tulkun fish shows her baby in front of her. After seeing which, she becomes really happy. And it was also telling her that very soon she would have a baby too. Meanwhile, the colonel takes the ship and goes to a nearby island. And here, he captures everyone and starts torturing them to ask about Jake. But since the people here didn't know anything, even if they wanted, they couldn't give any information. But this makes the colonel's head extremely hot. That's why he burns all their houses, and from there starts preparing to go to another island. And on the other side, when the leader learns about all these things, he then informs Jake about all these things. He says that they are actually trying to find you. And after hearing this, Neytiri tells Jake that actually, by running away like this, how many more days can we survive? If we want to live in peace, then we have to fight a war. Meanwhile, even after trying a lot, when the colonel can't find his address at all, his head gets extremely hot. That's why he changes his plan. Actually, what his ship's captain wanted, meaning he wanted to hunt the tulkuns, he gives him permission to do that. After that, Jake's son comes to that big tulkun fish. And coming here, he tells it that I trust you. If you want, you can trust me too. What happened to you? Tell me all the things clearly. And when he was doing that, his companions were standing from afar watching him. That's why, when the big master opens his mouth, then Jake's son goes inside and builds a connection with it. And through this, what all happened to it, he learns all those things. He learns that it was actually just trying to save its family members. And that's how all those things happened. He didn't really have any fault there. Meanwhile, when the leader finds out that Jake's son went to that big tulkun, he starts scolding him. And starts telling their history. He says that the tulkuns were once terrifying killers. They wouldn't let anyone into the ocean. Whoever tried to go in, they would eat them. But at one point, they decided to leave all those things behind and choose a peaceful life. But the tulkun you went to broke their rules and got involved in killing again. That's why he was separated from the whole family. But we see Jake's son trying to tell the whole truth. But Jake doesn't let him say much. Meanwhile, the colonel's team and their ship's captain together put a tracker on the tulkun leader. Because she couldn't escape quickly for her baby. After that captain and all his companions surround her from all sides and give her a very terrifying death in a horrible way. After that, they drag her onto the ship and drill into her head to extract a yellow liquid from inside. And here, the captain tells the colonel that this stuff's worth the most. And this little bit of liquid is worth $80 million. And after that, he tells him that you're completing your mission just for this stuff. Meanwhile, the Nausicaa people come to the tulkun. And when they see her dead, they bring the leader's wife there. The leader's wife gets really upset after seeing her dead, because she was like a part of her body. And she was saying that who knows how many cycles she completed before finally getting her baby. Now she had to give her own life too. That's why she goes back to her area and declares war on the humans. And besides, they start preparing for war too. But Jake calms everyone down and says that if you go to war with them, they will finish you all off. Even the ones you love, they'll finish them off too. After that, showing everyone that tracker, he says that through this tracker, they're reaching our location. Tell all the tulkuns this news that if they see something like this tracker, they should quickly inform us, because I can stop it, and through this, I can save their lives too. That's why everyone here accepts this, and they decide to deliver all the information to the tulkuns. A little later, Jake comes to Neytiri and says that actually, they're not hunting the tulkuns, but hunting us. And meanwhile, we see Jake's son going to that big tulkun fish to give him all the information. Because he knew very well that no one would deliver this news to him. But when he tries to go, everyone tries to stop him. But he doesn't listen to anyone and jumps into the water to try to leave from there. But still, all the kids follow him from behind, so that he doesn't get into any trouble. Meanwhile, the captain starts preparing for the next hunt. And Jake's son also arrives at that big tulkun master. But after seeing the tracker on his body, he gets a bit scared. That's why he tries to remove that tracker. But even after a lot of effort, he can't remove the tracker at all. And right then, he sees the ship in front. After seeing this, he clearly understands that this ship is probably coming to hunt this fish. And then his companions also arrive here. But even together, they can't remove the tracker at all. And when the colonel sees the kids here through binoculars, he gets really happy. Because finally, he's found a way to catch Jake. But then Jake's son gives Jake all the information about the tracker. That's why Jake quickly goes and gives the leader all this information. And together, they start preparing to save that fish and to destroy that ship. When they head out from there, we see the kids somehow remove that tracker from the fish and throw it into the ocean, and they themselves go into the ocean and hide, and that fish also somehow escapes from there. But after seeing this, the captain, with the help of a small submarine, dives into the water to catch them all. After that, with the help of a trap, he finally catches 3 of them and brings them to their ship. Although after seeing them, Spider tries to run to save them, but the soldiers forcefully take him away. And after that, the colonel holds them all at gunpoint and tells Jake to come to him alone. Or else, he'll threaten to kill the kids. Now, to save his kids too, Jake finally decides to surrender himself. Meanwhile, when that big fish sees Jake's son tied up from underwater, his head gets extremely hot. That's why he starts breaking the rocks under the sea. And finally, to save Jake's son, he decides to break all their rules once again. That's why he jumps up and lands on the ship and starts smashing everything. On the other side, when the captain sees such a big fish on his ship, he quickly comes forward to hunt that fish. But when he fires a rocket at it, this fish turns its head downward, which causes that rocket to blast right into his own ship. After seeing which, the captain is completely shocked. And after seeing all these things, all the Nautics here decide to join this battle. After that, a terrifying war starts between them. They get busy killing each other. On the other side, we see underwater, Jake's daughter connects with the spirit tree. After that, she takes control of that tree and destroys the colonel's submarines right there. And after seeing this, the leader's sons are completely shocked. Meanwhile, Spider also attacks the ship's captains. He destroys the ship's entire control system, which causes the ship to go completely out of control and crash straight into the ground. Because of which, water starts entering the ship. And after seeing this, everyone gets extremely scared. Meanwhile, to hunt that fish, the captain throws a rope tracker at it. But this fish cleverly saves itself from that tracker. But he intentionally wraps that rope around his tail, so that through that rope he can take control of the ship. After that, with all his strength, he starts swimming, which causes the captain's boat to flip and start going forward. After seeing this, the captain and everyone get extremely scared. But after that, when the captain starts preparing to attack it again, this fish comes from behind and jumps over the boat, wrapping the captain's hand in that rope. After that, with all his strength, he pulls hard and completely separates the captain's hand from his body. Meaning, he cuts off the captain's hand just like that. Just like how once the captain had cut off his fin. And as soon as the captain's colleagues realize the captain's death has happened, they stop this fighter and quickly try to escape from there. But on the other side, we see when Jake's daughter comes up to the water's surface, then the colonel grabs her and brings her into the ship and ties her hands to the ship. But after seeing this, when her brother comes up with other friends to save her, then the colonel grabs him too and takes him into the ship. On the other side, when Jake's older son tries to escape, then the colonel shoots at him, because of which he gets quite injured. Although Spider and the other kids somehow bring him to Jake. But by then his death had happened. And after seeing this, Neytiri starts crying like crazy. She starts screaming and shouting loudly. But right then, the colonel tells Jake through his device that he has his little daughter too. If he doesn't surrender by now, then he will kill his little daughter too. Now, after hearing this, Jake tells Neytiri to calm down, because they have to save their daughter any way possible. And after hearing this, Neytiri's head gets extremely hot. That's why she takes her arrow and sits straight on her banshee to attack that ship from above. After that, Jake sneaks into that boat and causes a terrifying blast, so that fire catches in the boat. And then Neytiri comes to the boat with her arrow and starts killing everyone one by one. And after seeing Neytiri's so much anger, Spider also hides from her and moves away. After that, although Jake goes and saves his son, but then the colonel comes in front of him holding a knife to his daughter's throat. And he tells him that you probably don't want another child's death today. After that, he tells Jake to surrender. And Jake also drops his weapon. But still, when the colonel was trying to kill Jake's daughter, then Spider tells him not to do that. But he wasn't listening to anything at all. That's why Neytiri comes and holds a knife to Spider's throat and tells him to release her daughter. But the colonel acts as if it doesn't matter to him at all. But then Neytiri, in extreme anger, says that I want a son in exchange for my son. Saying this, she stabs Spider in the chest with the knife, which scares the colonel so much that he releases their daughter. After that, when they all try to escape from here, then the colonel tells them that I won't stop here either. I will come to attack you again. And then I will come with much more power. And you will spend your whole life in fear of me. But after hearing this, Jake comes and directly attacks the colonel. On the other side, when they were trying to leave from the ship, then a huge big blast happens in the ship, because of which the water causes the ship to slowly start tipping over. Due to the water current, Neytiri's son slips from her hand and goes straight under the ship. That's why Neytiri also jumps after him to save him. Due to the water current, the ship slowly completely tips over. We see Spider and Jake's daughter somehow come to the upper side of the ship. On the other side under the water, Jake chokes the colonel and makes him unconscious. Jake thought he had killed him, but since for a long time he himself is also underwater, that's why due to breath stopping, he himself becomes like unconscious and slowly starts going underwater. But then at the last moment, his son comes and brings him above the water, because of which somehow his life gets saved. Meanwhile, since the ship slowly is sinking, that's why Neytiri and her son get trapped under the ship. And since it was dark all around, that's why they couldn't see anything around either. And then their daughter with her power calls many glowing fish and sends all the fish into the ship. And with the help of that fish's light following them, Neytiri and her son come out from there. And Jake's son, with the help of that big fish, somehow saves Jake too, and brings him out from the ship. After that, that big fish seats all of them on its body and drops them at their home. On the other side, Spider also saves his father, the Colonel, and somehow drags him to the shore, who is still alive up to now. And then that dragon also comes there. After that, although the Colonel tells Spider to go with him, but Spider directly refuses him and goes straight to Jake and his family. That's why the Colonel also with his dragon flies away from there. After that, Jake and his whole family decides to bury his dead son in the water. When they were burying him in the water, then Jake remembers that thing when his son was born, then Jake, holding him in his own hands, decided what his name would be. And now he is seeing with his own eyes his son slowly going into that darkness of the water from where returning is never possible. All this makes Jake's heart extremely sad. That's why he quickly comes from there to meet the leader. He tells him that we will leave from here tomorrow. But the leader tells him that your son is now with our God. Besides, you two are now one of the water people. From now on you are one member of our group. Saying this, he gives him permission to stay here. After that, Jake and Neytiri go and connect with that tree of life. And as soon as connecting, Jake sees that moment when his son first hunted. Then he was very happy. And from afar, Neytiri also, after seeing them, becomes very happy. Actually, their son really was with their God. Meaning in a real heaven where his son is very happy, where their whole family is. And through saying all these matters, this whole movie ends here.